Have the San Francisco Giants found their next superstar? We dive into Bryce Eldridge's first week in Major League Baseball, and then we're going to talk about an underrated pitching prospect who had a huge start against the Los Angeles Dodgers. Welcome back to SF Giants Digest, everybody. I appreciate you being here. Before we get started, let me know down in the comments how many career home runs you think Bryce Eldridge will finish with at the time of his retirement. It could be 10 years from now, 15 years from now. Do you think he hits 150 career home runs, around the same amount as Brandon Belt, Buster Posey? Or does he get into the 300s, the 400s, and become an all-time San Francisco Giant? Let me know down in the comments. Getting right into the video, Bryce Eldridge quickly made history with his promotion last week when he was just 20 years old as he got promoted to Major League Baseball. When he gets his first at-bat, Bryce Eldridge will join Madison Bumgarner and Matt Cain as the only 20-year-olds to play for the Giants in the last 40 years, says Alex Pavlovich of NBC Sports Bay Area. He'll be the first 20-year-old position player since catcher Jeff Ransom in 1981. So right away, before he even swung a bat in the big leagues, Bryce Eldridge was making history by starting his career at such an early point. 20 years old is absolutely insane. You don't see that from a position player, especially. Sometimes pitchers, they're more advanced, just the stuff is overpowering enough where they can get big league hitters out. We saw Paul Skeens come up right away. We've seen some of these pitchers come up right after being drafted and be effective. But with hitters, usually it takes a little more time to develop, see better pitching than you saw in high school or college. And, Bryce Eldridge has done some things we haven't seen a lot from a position player in the Giants organization. Now, so far in this first week, the stats do not look good, if we're being honest. You can see here he's slashing .067, 222, 133 for a 16 WRC plus, weighted runs created plus. And for those that don't know, MLB average weighted runs created plus is 100, so being at 16 is not great, and anything over 100 is obviously above average, but it has been a struggle for him, if we're being honest. A lot of strikeout there, as you see, 38.9% strikeout rate, which in the minor leagues, he's always been between 25% and 30% at every level. No home runs yet. He does have the one hit, which was the big double off of Tyler Glasnow, which we'll get into later, but it has been a struggle so far. But I do want to compare it to, a lot of people are drawing this comparison, but in 2009, obviously the Giants had another big-time prospect who you've probably heard of, named Buster Posey, who the Giants called up just to get a taste of the big leagues for, I believe, 7 or 8 games, and he struggled as well. It's not always automatic with these big prospects. It does take a little bit of time to transform and see this big league pitching, and it was no different with Buster Posey. We all know he went on to have a Hall of Fame career, but he struggled in 2009 in the cup of coffee he had. In 17 plate appearances, he slashed 118 across the board for a negative 51 WRC plus. So a little crazy there to be in the negatives in terms of weighted runs created plus. But he also struggled with striking out. Now, the 23.5% doesn't look nearly as bad as Bryce Eldridge's, but Buster Posey really didn't strike out a lot across his entire career. Most of his seasons, he's between 11% and 16% for striking out. So the 23.5 is definitely elevated compared to his career norms that he went on to do. Only 2 hits in the 17 plate appearances, so it was a struggle for Buster Posey in his cup of coffee in 2009. And well, here with Buster Posey, there's not a lot of positives poking out, but with Bryce Eldridge, there have been some good things we've seen from him across this first week in Major League Baseball. You see here, these are kind of the StatCast numbers from him in the minor leagues and the week he's had in the big leagues this year. But you see in 2024 in AAA, he had a 55% hard hit rate, which is already really good. That's about what Rafael Devers has in the big leagues this year. But this year in AAA, Bryce Eldridge really took a step forward with a 62.5 hard hit rate, which is unheard of. Usually in the big leagues, average is between 40-45% for an average big league hitter. As you can see, he is 62%, so he is almost 20% higher than an average big league hitter. He had a max exit velocity of 115 in the minor leagues, which is insane, and an average exit velocity of 95.7 miles an hour, which is 4 miles an hour better than he had in 2024 when he really broke out as a prospect. Now, in the major leagues, we saw the stats haven't been great, but he is hitting the ball hard when he does. In 8 events, which means the 8 times he's hit the ball, he has 8 hard hits, which gives him a 100% hard hit rate. So I've been talking about this a lot with Bryce Eldridge. He is going to strike out a lot, but when he does make contact, it's going to be hit hard. Already has a max exit velocity of 108.4 miles an hour in the big leagues with an average exit velocity of 103.3. Obviously, that average exit velocity is not sustainable. You're never going to find a player who's going to average over 100 miles an hour exit velocity over the course of a season, even over the course of a month. But it is encouraging to see that when Bryce Eldridge makes contact, he's going to get his A swings off the majority of the time. You're not really worried about him getting beat a ton outside of the whiff. He's 6'7", he's only 20 years old, so there is going to be a good amount of whiff in Bryce Eldridge's game. Now, this first week in the big leagues was kind of highlighted by his one career hit up to this point. You see here from Major League Baseball, Bryce Eldridge's first Major League hit is a bases-clearing double against the Dodgers. This was just cool to see. Obviously, anyone's first career hit is awesome to see. But with Bryce Eldridge, it was cool to see it come against the Dodgers. In an interview with Alex Pavlovich earlier this month, I think, maybe the end of August, he said, I want to be the guy to silence the Dodgers crowd, go down to LA, get that big hit, and silence the fans down there. And he did it. Even though the Giants went on to lose this game, Tyler Glasnow settled in a little bit. He took a 97-mile-an-hour fastball the other way and got a big-time hit early on in the first inning. So he did get that first hit of his career where he silenced those fans down in LA. He did make a little bit of history. This is from Jeff Young at AroundTheFoghorn.com. He said, in Eldridge's first impression with the Giants, he has been striking out a bit, which we've talked about a lot, but also making a lot of hard contact. Eventually, a hit was going to fall, and it nearly fell over the fence at Dodger Stadium. Interestingly, Eldridge joined some recent fan favorites with his first MLB hit. Both Buster Posey and Brandon Belt recorded their first career hits against the Dodgers too. If you can't believe it, Belt's first hit came in his first at-bat against Clayton Kershaw. So a little funny that, we see Belt's first hit come in against Clayton Kershaw when Bryce Eldridge, he didn't play against him, but he was on the roster in Clayton Kershaw's last regular season start against the Giants at Dodger Stadium. So that's a little fun wrinkle in this conversation. But, these two guys went on to have great careers. Obviously, Buster Posey is a future Hall of Famer in the next couple of years. Brandon Belt has a really underrated career. I didn't realize he has a 125 career WRC plus, which is really impressive. I think we take it for granted a little bit how good he was for the Giants across his career. But two guys that went on to have really good careers, obviously won a couple World Series, have some big moments in the Giants organization, and hopefully Bryce Eldridge can follow in their footsteps. And you'd hope he has a career more aligned with Buster Posey on the way to the Hall of Fame trajectory. But, Brandon Belt he was a big-time prospect too and went on to have a good career, played for a long time, won a couple World Series, made a couple All-Star games. So that was still a good career there. Now, transferring over to a different conversation, I do want to shout out another rookie that had a big performance against the Dodgers, and that is Trevor McDonald. He went 6 innings of 1-run ball with 3 strikeouts against the Los Angeles Dodgers, of all teams. It's not like he was facing the Rockies or the White Sox or some nobody team that hasn't been winning a lot of games this season. He did it against one of the best teams in baseball, obviously. Shohei Ohtani, Freddie Freeman, all of these guys. He went up there and gave the Giants some really important innings for a rotation, for a bullpen that has struggled to string 27 outs together night in and night out. But he gave the Giants their lone win in this series, or he led them to it. Help from Patrick Bailey, Rafael Devers on the offensive side. But a really big outing from Trevor McDonald. And Jeff Young, who, like I said, is around the Foghorn, he's pretty big on Giants Twitter. He said there's a lot of Logan Webb in Trevor McDonald's sinker movement, especially the arm side run. Obviously, he's not saying that Trevor McDonald is going to be Logan Webb, but it's a little encouraging that he's in the same clubhouse as Logan Webb, and he can maybe pick his brain a little bit about how to use his sinker, how to work off of it, some of the tunneling stuff. You see there, not a lot of people make Shohei Ohtani look like that. You see in that screen grab there, he's lunging over, and that was a sinker, so it wasn't a slider or anything like that, not a changeup. It was, a type of fastball, 94 mile an hour. It just ran away from Shohei, and he lunged over, and that was the first hit of the game. He got his first strikeout of the day against, one of the greatest hitters we've seen in the history of baseball. So an important outing for Trevor McDonald to take advantage of the end of the year, some of the September call-ups, he's getting an opportunity to throw some innings. And, who knows, maybe he gets one more start and puts his name in the conversation to be, in the rotation in the opening day 2026 roster, or maybe in the bullpen as a long reliever type. We saw Landon Roop win that 5th starter job this season, and it worked out really well. Obviously, he's had some injury bugs in the second half, but for a month-long stretch between June and July, Landon Roop was the Giants' best starter. He was one of the best starters in baseball for about a month. So who knows? Maybe we see a similar thing with Trevor McDonald. There's also Carson Wisenhunt. The rotation is probably going to be the group this offseason that has the biggest changes. Obviously, Webb and Ray at the top are set, and probably Landon Roop if he's healthy. But at the back half, there's a lot of question marks. Obviously, Carson Wisenhunt, Trevor McDonald, even a Hayden Birdsong, who we've seen a lot but has struggled with the command in 2025. There's some question marks. Do they want to bring back Justin Verlander? So if Trevor McDonald finishes the year strong, like he did against the Dodgers, as one more start like that, he could put his name in the hat, to possibly have some big-time innings in 2026 on the 2026 team. But that is going to do it for this episode of SF Giants Digest. I appreciate you tuning in. Make sure to go down below and hit the subscribe button. We really appreciate that as we get this channel going. Stay notified when we have future uploads. And like I said earlier, leave a comment down below and let me know how many career home runs you think Bryce Eldridge will finish with when he eventually retires. Thanks for watching, and make sure to subscribe.